The streets of United Kingdom have seen an unprecedented incident of riots.
I feel proud and I'm not scared.
I have written a poem about the refugees. Is violence the only answer?
Loads of the skin colours are being separated due to these violent riots.
It has been ruined for a while and suddenly we are now bucketed.
So integration is possible, but we have to take accountability and educate ourselves.
History is being shown from one perspective.
If you see on job application, for example, they're asking your ethnicity. You don't need that.
You are mixed race. It's just shock to me that the Indian I often see when they have a prejudice against it.
Even though the UK is diverse, it sort of isn't at the same time as well.
In schools, they like to say we're a diverse school, but what does diversity mean?
I think the frustration comes from people who are not integrating.
This is India, a story in the making, and I'm your host, Lavina Tandon.
The streets of United Kingdom have seen an unprecedented incident of riots, and that too against the Muslims. But there are close to 15 to 18% people who live in the United Kingdom who are not born in this country. Now, how do they feel about this? Is there an issue of integration? And if there is, what is it? What are the people feeling? I'm standing on one such street in London, and I want to talk to the young, those who came for the first time, and those who are born and brought up here, but we don't look like what people from here look like, or possibly also we are mixed race. Many of them. So let me start with you. Ma'am, can I take your name and tell me what is it that's going in your minds when you see such riots happening on the streets of United Kingdom?
Yep, so my name's Shivali. I feel sad for the people that have to turn to violence, but I feel proud and I'm not scared to go out on the streets, and I feel strong. Those that need to turn to violence, God bless them.
But do you feel there is something that they have to say which we are not hearing, and we are calling right wing and then just putting them aside, and that's why this whole thing has been brewing in the hearts and minds of people? Is there integration happening? All of it and any of it you can answer.
Yeah, do you know what? I think there is integration happening, but there's a lot of change happening in the world as well, and I think that's just caused a big mixture of emotions to erupt. And like I said, there's no need for violence. We've all managed to live in harmony for so many centuries and stuff. So I think a lot of talk has to happen between both sides.
Brilliant. Thank you. Aishwarya, you are a little author as well. I know. Have you written a poem on it already?
Yes. I have written a poem about the refugees who have landed up here, and how I feel about many of the people who are right-wing, who don't want them here, and they're prosecuting them even though they've come from such difficult times, and you're making their life even harder. And I think that the riots are in a way affecting me. Like when I was in the tube this morning to come here, they stopped at a station saying we couldn't go because there were police. And I think that that's very important, that we should keep in mind that violence should not be the answer all the time, and that maybe we should discuss it and talk about it and trying to find a resolution to this crisis.
Oh, how wonderful. Do you remember any of your poem?
Well, I remember that the first line I had to start with is violence the only answer, because in a way a lot of the time it shouldn't be, and we shouldn't be hurting people, especially for their opinions or their race or their religion, and we should accept that everyone can live together, and we should celebrate diversity instead of prosecuting others because of it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Very well spoken. May I know your name and tell me were you born and brought up here? How do you react to it, and what goes in your mind? And do you think integration is really happening? Do you feel integrated and a part of the society?
My name's Anya Aurora. I was born and brought up here. I definitely do think, especially in the UK, it's a very diverse country. Like everywhere I look, there's people of colour everywhere, including myself. However, I do think in this time that loads of the skin colours are being separated due to these violent riots and stuff. I don't think that's the answer, but I'm not scared of it. I'm proud to be of colour. I'm proud to maybe not be the standard or the person that's born and brought up here that they could typically see. Yeah.
So a lot of the time, an Indian origin, you're Indian origin, you have parents who are Indian origin, question or actually debate the fact that they're all put as Asians together. Do you feel that as Indian, you have a Indian origin, you have a separate identity which is not being recognized and which should be as well?
For me particularly, I don't actually think so. I think I have quite a variety of whether I have all my friends that are similar to me in my way of like my religion and my like skin color and all of that, and I also have people that are maybe like different to me, so I don't think I have that.
Okay. Is there an issue with integration, Arunima, and or anything that I have asked you can answer as well?
Yes, I think this is it has been brewing for a while, and I think rather than thinking of it as a separate new issue, it is what the society has been feeling, and as you said, this has been brewing within people, and suddenly we are now bucketed. We are now bucketed as Indian. We are now bucketed as Muslim. We are being bucketed, and while Britain is extremely progressive in terms of being inclusive and diverse, and I have found representation in everything that I have done so far, but incidents such as these kind of just question where we are today as a society, and is everybody part of this discussion? Is everybody really feeling that we should be inclusive, or is it just a nomenclature that we are pushing onto the society without really creating awareness of the sensitivities of what it should be? What does being South Asian really mean, and how do different cultures engage with it? What is British today? Who is British today? All of us standing here are British. All of us standing here are Indian. So we have a blend of different cultures within us, and we have to understand that we have to educate each other and be sensitive towards each other, and only then we can accept each other, because just by being pushed into this kind of dynamic of being inclusive and diverse, it's not going to happen if we don't believe in it. We have to believe in it. What does it take? What does it mean to be Hindu? Does anybody around me really know who's not a Hindu? What does it mean to be Muslim from, say, Somalia, Rwanda, Bangladesh, India? So, religion, color, there are just so many, ability, gender, there are just so many things around us at play today that we need to really be sensitive on what we are accepting and what we are teaching each other, and are we really sensitive? And it really boils down to what are we doing at a school level? Are we teaching our children the right values? Do we have the right values, or are we separatists in our own nature? We can't think this is a Southport problem. This is really a reflection of who we are today.
Brilliant, thank you. It's not just a Southport problem, it is a UK problem that has been brewing. And what do you see as a solution, if at all, and how do you feel?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Bhavya, and solution is just awareness. People have to be educated. When you want integration, first there will be disintegration. And disintegration can come in a form what we're seeing today, what's happening in Southport, or it can be normal intellectual talks. But till there is no awareness, there won't be any clarity. And it's only then when we see acceptance, low expectations, people have choices to make in which direction, how they want to play their life. That's the only time integration will start happening. For me, education and accountability are very important. So start educating people from the grassroots level, and it doesn't matter, you may have 50 degrees. Education, when I mean of education and accountability, is basically, are you open-minded? It's only when you're open-minded is when you can adapt to different situations and start making a change. You'll be a change maker, a visionary. So integration is possible, but we have to take accountability and educate ourselves.
What has not been accountable in the UK? You can ask, I can ask some male and then I'll come to you. I can't be underrepresented, I have to be diverse here as well. What has not happened in the UK, and why in the UK? It's quite surprising for many.
Hi, I'm Siddharth. I think the biggest issue is a lack of education. I know that's been a subject that's been mentioned several times over the last few minutes, but I think the lack of education in every walk of life, whether it be the Indians or South Asian community, the white community from the north, or wherever they may be. I think there's a lack of education, both book education and people education. I think the problem with history books is that history is being shown from one perspective and it's not being shown from a 360-degree view of history. People are very, very quick to judge people or what they did in the past from a negative aspect. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there who have statues and buildings named after them who have done a lot of negative things, and yes, they should be rightly called out for them. But if they've done something positive, that should also be brought to light, brought to the surface. And I think it's very unfair that only the negative aspects of history are being outlined. And we can talk about, the British Raj. Absolutely, 100%. There's a lot of negativity there, but from a South Asian and Indian perspective, the positives that came out of it, or the positive, how we made that into a positive ourselves, should be discussed more, shown more, celebrated more, and I don't think we do that.
Brilliant, thank you. How was the problem brewing? What is it that the UK was not listening to?
Hi, I'm Vihashini. I think it's probably, even it's, UK, it's more diversity, there's more, but then you still have that little bit of percentage where they do look a bit of your background, where it could be when you go into socializing, or even when you go for work. Also, they do look at your background as well, whatever, if you're South Asian or not. If you see on job application, for example, they're asking your ethnicity. You don't need that. I mean, like, everyone is a human being. So I think they need to reconsider, to be honest, and that will make it even more beautiful to live in UK.
Yeah, you are mixed race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. My mum's Indian and brought up in India, and then my dad's from the UK, specifically Wales, and was brought up here. So I've had a combination of upbringing.
How do you feel about what's happening, and do you think integration has been an issue, and how do people look at you?
Well, honestly, people look at me depending on where I am. If I'm in India, if I'm around Indians a lot of the time, or Indians from India, they'll look at me as British, and if I'm around white people or people from the UK, they'll think of me as Indian. So it depends, but because my upbringing has been primarily Indian, they see me as Indian. And I bring a lot of that culture with me. And about what's going on in Southport, obviously it's wrong. Nothing like that could ever be right. Integration, I think integration is, it's worked in a way. It works depending on the person. I think you should accept your culture and you should bring your culture to the country, but I'm not so sure about, I think you should accept everyone's cultures, and I don't think that everyone should be stuck to their own place, and they should be open to the country they brought themselves to and that they've been born into, and they should explore that culture just as much as they should stay in touch with their roots. But there has to definitely be a balance of that. I don't think this problem would be much of an issue if we weren't as divided. If we were more accepting of each other and people were able to talk to each other more, maybe this wouldn't be such a big issue.
How do you feel as a person who comes from both the cultures?
I feel proud, and I feel like I've had a very unique, I've been given a very unique perspective of both, and I've been able to very luckily see both cultures in through such a
close quarters. Yeah. But how do people who are born and brought up here look at you? Do you get different reactions from different people?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people find, because it's just shock to me that they're Indian. I often see when they have a prejudice against it, because then they show it later without them realizing. So there is an underlying prejudice that no one can see. If they can see that you're brown, they don't say anything. But once they find out, there is definitely a prejudice that's underlying that no one talks about.
Thank you. What is it that we are not hearing? What is it that is happening and brewing?
I just want to talk about one of your previous points, which was, hi, I'm Manoj, by the way, about just being scared or just being brave. And it's the fact that I think most British Indians or South Indian community are being strong, are being brave. They are going out on the streets, they're walking. But there are other family members that I know of that are also scared, that are not coming out after dark, they're not coming out, they're just staying indoors now just because of what's going on. Even though the UK is diverse, it sort of isn't at the same time as well.
Brilliant. It's diverse and not yet at the same time. Please, could you, Priyanka, elaborate on that? That's a very, very important point. Diverse and yet not diverse.
I think in schools, they like to say we're a diverse school, but what does diversity mean? And that's where the lack of education comes in. And it doesn't matter about spreading awareness, but people who are spreading awareness is a point coming across. That's the issue. You could scream about it till the cows come home, but what are people actually doing about it? And that's where the problem is, and that's what we need to address to overcome this.
Priyanka, there are a lot of places that are ghettoized and only have people of Indian or other origins living in that places. And when people say, go back, what is your view on that?
I think people who come from abroad, they feel like they've made it in this country, but you've only made it if you integrate with the communities. You can't come to this country and say, I'm Indian, I've come from India, and this is how we live, and this is how we're going to live. You need to adopt the culture of this country to be able to have a community, a wider community, not just within our own communities. And that's the important thing, that if you're coming here, you need to come with a broadened mind and accept this country, its culture, and be a part of it.
How do you personally feel this as a problem in your life?
Hi, I'm Matang. Personally, for me, I won't let it show me. I won't let it be a problem. I will go out. I've worked in and around London my whole life, born and bred here. I won't let it show that it's going to affect me. I'm not going to go out there and say, you're doing this to me. No, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go and get what's mine. Because this is what our parents told us to do. They came here as immigrants. They gave us the opportunity. So I'm going to go out and get what's ours.
You feel this is your home?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And we integrate. We do that. We go out. We socialize. We know where to go. Other communities do not. The people who have been coming for the last 10 years, they don't do that. They stick in their own bubble. But we have to show them that, no, that's not how you do it.
Do you feel that you are, as an Indian origin person, clubbed with as an Asian, and that's unfair?
Yeah, it could happen. It probably does happen. But again, I'm not going to let it affect me. Because why should I? Because if I worry about that, then it's not going to get me anywhere. We've all got a goal to get to. We've got lives to get to. We've got to provide for everyone else. If we let it affect us, we're not going to get into it.
But is there something that we are not hearing and listening to form their point of view, which is actually making all this flare up more?
I don't feel like it's voiced at us only. I think it's voiced at. I think the frustration comes from people who are not integrating. I think the frustration comes from people who are not trying to be a part of society. And that's where the frustration comes from. I think as I said, I am going to live my own life and I'm not going to let that affect me.
Brilliant. Thank you so very much. That's such an important point, that we got to live our lives. And in all of the UK, you can see like this barricades. There are so many barricades everywhere in the world, but that's not what we are going to let our lives look like, is what people are saying. But there's something that is missing. There's something we are not listening. There's so many people who live just over 300 languages spoken in this very land in London, but there's something in between. There's something that's not uniting, and it's just all coming up now. But people here showing resilience,
and saying that we are in it and together, especially all of them are of Indian origin. And as it's customary on India Story in the Making, I want to ask very quickly, whoever is left here, what is India for them in one word? Well, India for you in one word. Home. Home. India for you in one word.
This is very hard. Inspiration.
Okay.
Spirituality.
Spirituality.
Home.
Culture.
I was going to say culture. You took my word. Family.
Home, culture, family, absolutely a place where, again, another country where so many diverse people live together. There always are troubles, but people get through, and I hope that this happens same here. Thank you very much for listening to India Story in the Making or watching it on our YouTube channel, Lavina Tandon Official. Please find me on Twitter as Lavina Tandon, on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Stay connected, and please, as they say, like and subscribe if you like it. Thank you, take care, and God bless.
Listen to my podcast audio on Apple, Spotify, BingePods, or wherever you get your podcast from. And watch the video of the podcast on my YouTube channel, Lavina Tandon. New episodes are out every Sunday.